Hello, good morning all. Again, this is Dr. Siddhalingamurthy SM, HOD of Botany, ADB First Aid College, Harpnalli. The class specially for my students. Hi dear students, how are you all? Hope you doing well. So as a continuation, today let us discuss about another important and a very interesting topic, that is physiology of flowering. Dear students, you all know plant, particularly the angiospermic plants, produce flowers. So this flowering in the plants depends upon the light period. So in the physiology of flowering, here we are going to discuss the impact of light period as well as dark period on the flowering. So physiology of flowering, in other words, we can call it as photoperiodism. You can look here. The plants, in order to flower, require a certain day length, the relative length of day and night, which is called as photoperiod. It means plants require a particular time of daytime as well as night period. So this relative length of day and night related with the flowering of plants is called as what? Photoperiod. The response of plants to the photoperiod expressed in the form of flowering, that is called as what? Photoperiodism. So photoperiodism is nothing but a phenomenon where the flowering of plants depend upon the length of daytime and even the length of night period. The phenomenon of photoperiodism was first discovered by Gardner and Allard, who observed that the biloxi variety of soya beans, the scientific name of this plant is Glycine max, and Maryland Mamuthi variety of tobacco, it is nothing but Nicotiana tabacum, could be made to flower only when the daily exposure to the light was reduced below a certain critical duration. So those two people observed that, particularly in Glycine max and tobacco, Nicotiana tabacum. So when the plants exposed to a particular low temperature, that is the winter period, then only there comes to the flowering. So as far as the types of photoperiodism is concerned, depending upon the duration of photoperiod, they classified plants into three categories. One is short day plants, popularly called as what? SDP. As the name itself says, short day. So these plants comparatively require shorter duration of light for the flowering. Let us see in detail. The plants require a relatively short daylight period, about 8 to 10 hours, and a continuous dark period of about 14 to 16 hours for subsequent flower. So those plants which require more dark period and less day period, 8 to 10 hours daytime and 14 to 16 hours night time. So such plants are known as what? Short day plants, because they need a shorter day period for the flowering. Certain example, again what I said already, Nicotiana, then soya bean, nothing but Glycine max, and in one more cockleber, otherwise called xanthium. In short day plants, the dark period is critical and must be continuous. So for example, the dark period, what we say 14 to 16 hours, it must be continuous. If the dark period is interrupted by a fraction of light just for few minutes, that will not help in the formation of flowers. So that will affect the flowering. If this dark period is interrupted even with a brief exposure of red light, the short day plant will not flower. So therefore that dark period is very, very important. And that dark period required for flowering in short day plants particularly is known as critical dark period, and it is not fixed for all the plants. It is variable from species to species. Interruption of the light period by dark does not have inhibitory effect on the flowering in short day plants. So if light period is interrupted just by few minutes of dark period, that will not have any effect. So here dark period should not be affected. You can see the picture, short day plants, see daytime here, short daytime, more dark period, so it is flowering. If this critical dark period is interrupted by for few seconds of light, particularly red light, then it will not leads to what? Flowering. The plant will remain in the vegetative period. Similarly, you can observe here itself a long day plants. These plants require more daytime and less night time. So here, even unlike the short day plants, if the night period is interrupted by light, it has no effect. The plant will produce the flower. The same thing you can observe here. So there in the short day plants, we saw that it is about 8 to 10 hours, and here the day period is more than 12, say 14 to 16 hours minimum. That means lesser night time, more daytime. Examples: henbane, spinach, then beetroot, otherwise called beta vulgaris. So in long day plants, the light period is very important, that is critical. As I said already, if the dark period is exposed to the light, it has no problem, it will produce the flower. So that is the meaning of short day plants and long day plants. Hope it is clear for you. One more category, day neutral plants. Yes, we can easily understand. Day neutral. So it is not important for the plants. That means light period or the dark period has no much effect on the flowering. If the periods, it may be light period or the dark period, if it is more than 5, it is enough. So in these plants, if light period is just minimum 5 to 24 hours, any time, it is almost, it has no much effect. So therefore, they are called as what? Day neutral plants. There are many such plants, for example, tomato, cotton, sunflower, cucumber, and certain varieties of peas and tobacco. So that is why, hope now you understand why the farmers grow seasonal crops. Certain crops comes to flowering and produce the seeds only in some seasons. It is all because of the day period as well as the night period. And there are some crops which you can grow in any season. So because they are day neutral. You may get doubt how this flowering on daytime and night period is maintained. What exactly there in the plant body that will control the flowering based on the daytime or the night time? The answer for this question is a pigment, a substance that is called as what? Phytochrome. So a light sensitive substance or a chemical is present. So that phytochrome is responsible for the flowering. This is the substance, it will control whether the plant to be produce flower or should not produce the flower. You see here, a brief exposure with red light during critical dark period inhibits flowering in shade plants. This is because again the phytochrome work there. So this inhibitory effect can be reversed by a subsequent exposure with far red light. So you can make them to produce the flower by short day plants even if you disturb the night period. How means? By exposing the plant with far red light. So when you expose the plant with far red light period, the phytochrome will stimulate and thereby flower occurs. Similarly, prolongation of the critical period or the interruption of the dark period stimulates flowering in long day plants. So this inhibition of flowering in short day plants and stimulation of flowering in long day plants involve the operation of this proteinaceous pigment, what I said, phytochrome. So this more day period for the long day plants and short day period for the short day plants is all controlled by this phytochrome. One interesting feature is that this phytochrome exists in two forms. One red light absorbing form, PR, for red light absorbing, that is PF4, and both these forms of phytochrome are interconvertible. So depending upon the situation, the phytochrome will work and thereby the plant will produce the flowering. In relation with the physiology of flowering, there is one more term which you may be knowing already, that is called as vernalization. So we can induce flowering by cold treatment or the low temperature. This is called as vernalization. Very commonly this method is used in the horticulture department. So even in the on-season, if they want to produce a flower in a particular plant, an ornamental plant, they can induce the flowering by means of cold treatment. So flowering is either quantitatively or qualitatively depend upon the low temperature. So this is termed as what? Vernalization. So it is nothing but promotion of flowering in a plant by producing low temperature. So chilling treatment, cold treatment, it is otherwise called. So as I said already, very commonly it is used in horticulture department. In several plants, this chilling treatment or the vernalization is made. Even in the crops also, you can grow the crops in unseason with the help of vernalization. So we find vernalization in several plants, particularly the sugar beet, cabbage, carrots, etc. Monocarpic plants, in the sense they produce flower and die in one season. And now lastly, let me tell you about dormancy. Hope you know the meaning of dormancy. In case of plants, certain part of the plants remain inactive but they survive. So they are in the living form but not active. That situation we call it as what? Dormancy. Not only seeds, even the other parts of the plant also remain in dormant condition. For example, ginger. We can keep the ginger for some days at home, then we can put it in the soil, then it will germinate. So it remain in the dormant condition as long as the soil is not available. Similarly, there are some seeds, even if all the conditions are favorable, say for example, water is there, soil is there, light, temperature, everything is available, yet the seeds do not germinate. So this phenomenon, what we call a state or condition in which seeds are prevented from germinating even under the favorable environmental conditions, for example like temperature, water, light, gas, seeds, etc. Seed coat. So that phenomenon we call it as what? Seed dormancy. They do not germinate. It may be because of certain restrictions. I will tell you what are the causes for seed dormancy. Why seeds do not germinate even if the conditions are favorable. So here main reason behind these is that they require a period of rest. Probably embryo may not be developed. During that rest period, the embryo will develop. Some plants germinate very quickly. For example, maize, rice you take. Even before they get separated from the mother plant, they start germinating. But some plant, they need some 6 months, 1 year, like that, few weeks. They need some resting period. After the completion of that resting period, they germinate. As far as the causes of seed dormancy is concerned, hard and impermeable seed coats. See, if we store the seeds for some time, the seed coat will become soft, and after that time they will germinate. So hard and impermeable meaning they do not permeate. Seeds are hard and they do not permeate. See, for the germination of a seed, the seed coat should be broken and water should enter into the seed, that is to the embryo. Oxygen should be supplied to the embryo, then only the embryo will become active and germinate. So if these things will not enter into the seed will not naturally germinate, isn't it? So in some cases what happens, the seed coat is hard that the water will not enter. So you might be observing some seeds, even after soaking certain time, water will not enter. Even just only on the surface of seed coat, the water will be present. For example, several members of Leguminaceae, Malvaceae and Solanaceae. And there are some plants, say for example, the sides of Asteraceae members, where the seed coat is not permeable for oxygen. It will take some time to become softened and also to permit the entry of oxygen. And another one, there are some seeds which are very hard, mechanically hard. They will not allow the water or oxygen to enter. So, for example, brassica seeds, that means mustard, amaranthus. So those seeds are very hard. They have a mechanically resistant seed coat. So they will not allow the embryo to come out. Then secondly, immature and rudimentary embryos. So by the time the seed is formed from the mother plant, the embryo is not produced, so that it needs a certain time for the complete development. So in 2 months or about 6 months, it all depends upon the plants, the embryo will complete its development, then the seed will germinate. That means that is the end of the dormancy period of a seed. Light sensitive seeds. There are some cases, for example, Capsella and others, where if the seeds are exposed to a particular time or period of light, then only they germinate. Such seeds are called as photoblastic seeds. So they germinate only under the influence of light. Then dormant embryos. There are certain embryos which are dormant. That means they are not active. They will become active only after certain time of period. So because of dormant embryo also the seeds are dormant. And another important thing is germination inhibitors. Some seeds contain certain chemical substance. Say for example the hormones, the abscisic acid. It will not allow the seeds to germinate. Certain chemicals are there because a plant want to spread its daughter plants as long as possible away from the parent plant, so that if the seeds provided with certain time dormancy period, they can spread different regions, and so that they can increase the population. That is why naturally they put some inhibitors. So after certain period the inhibitors will become inactive, and thereby the seeds germinate. So there are different such chemicals are there, particularly the abscisic acid, nothing but the inhibiting hormone what we call, is one of the main chemical. So these are the different causes for the seed dormancy. And finally, let us see, if we want to germinate the seeds before its completion of a dormancy period, we can use certain methods, that is called as methods of breaking seed dormancy. Scarification. That means we have to rupture the seed coat. We have to make some scar mechanically or by using some chemicals. You might have observed in the villages the cotton seeds are rubbed to the rough surface, then they sow in the field. So that is the method of mechanical scarification. And even nowadays certain chemicals are available. The people before sowing in the field, they soak the seeds in that chemical, then they will sow in the field, so that the seed coat will be softened and the percentage of germination will be more. So there are such different substances are available. For example, alcohol, acetone, ether, even some acids also we can use, but at a particular time. One has to take care that the chemical scarification should be done only for the seed coat, and we have to see that the embryo present inside should not be damaged. Okay. Now stratification. Strata means layer. We can put seeds in one layer on the sand, again put a layer of sand or small rock particles, again put a layer of seeds. So like that, by putting the seeds in the form of strata, we can soften the seed coat, and thereby we can allow the seeds to germinate. And we can control certain hormones. We can use certain hormones. By using the hormones also we can break the dormancy. As you know that, for example, ethylene, a fruit ripening hormone it is otherwise called as, we can apply this hormone to break the dormancy. Alternating temperature, a very interesting thing. There are some seeds, you just vary the temperature, both high and low temperature, the embryo will become active and germinate. For example, if some seeds we can keep them 45 degrees for 2 to 8 hours, and then againly immediately we have to keep it them 30 degrees centigrade for 18 to 22 hours. So then they germinate. Similarly, light. So if we expose the seeds to light for a particular time, then the dormancy will be broken, and thereby the seeds will germinate. Alternating pressures also will help in breaking the dormancy. Seeds are influenced, or in other words, applied to subjected to hydraulic pressure of 2000 atmosphere at 18 degrees centigrade for 5 to 20 minutes, as in case of medicago, melilotus, etc. We can break the dormancy and thereby seeds germinate. So this is how in the physiology of flowering I said about photoperiodism, then role of phytochrome, then vernalization, and the seed dormancy. Hope you all understood well. Okay, so that's all about the physiology of flowering. Dear students, be strong and don't lose your interest, because you have got so much time to prepare well. So COVID-19, as you know, it is a very dangerous pandemic disease. So government has taken this lockdown for our all safety, and even government has taken this method, video classes, online classes and all. So that is why be strong and be active and use this time for your work. I hope you're all practicing well whatever the syllabus so far we have completed, whatever the things you have, and even the university also assured you that you will not be put in a pressure, so sufficient time will be given. And thinking that, don't waste the time, start preparing from now onwards. Yet if you get any doubts at any time, you can call me and clarify your doubts. So wish you all the best. Thank you.